I hit record and seems like everyone became muted. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting, because I just went through about a minute of my intro. So let's start again.
Yeah, I saw that. We all went, the video got shut off and we got muted. We had to agree, I guess, before we could.
Right.
There's
Huh.
they've implemented that the new feature where once the recording starts, everybody has to agree to being recorded.
Okay.
So
All right.
until you accept it, it mutes you.
Interesting. Okay, well, we'll get started now. Good morning, everyone. I'm calling this meeting of the Public Safety Communications Task Force to order. It is 11:17 on June 17th, 2026, and I'm Barbara Neal. As a reminder, the meeting is being recorded and the recording will be posted to the task force webpage after the meeting. Let's start with our usual roll call of task force members. If you could please verbally acknowledge your presence when I call your name. Dan Batesy.
Here.
Paul White.
Here.
Ron Kumitz.
Here.
Jim Mack.
Here.
Okay, and Michael Wright.
Here.
All right, and also joining us today is Emily Mullaney from Department of Public Safety as our administrative support, and our project management partners, Rick, Dom, and Elizabeth from Televate. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
And then it looks like we have three members of the public. So I'll call on you and you can introduce yourself and share any affiliation you care to share. So Phil Sisk, let's start with you.
Good morning, Phil Sisk with Mission Critical Partners, a former member of the task force support team anyway. I'll put it that way.
Yeah,
thank you.
Nice to see you. Dean Gilmore.
Good morning, everyone. Dean Gilmore, I represent Vermont State Firefighters Association and Addison County Firefighters Association.
Great, thanks for being here. And Jeff Coons?
Yeah, Jeff Coons with Versaterm, and I'm just here watching you guys do all the work that you do. Thank you for allowing me to be here.
Okay, glad you're here. Okay, let's move on to approval of the agenda. The agenda was distributed to task force members by email. It's also available on the webpage. Are there any changes needed to the agenda? Okay, hearing nothing, we'll consider the agenda approved and move on to approval of the minutes. So these would be the minutes from our last meeting, which was May 13th, 2026. That's regular meeting number 79. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
I will make that motion.
Thank you, Ron. Jim seconds. Is there any discussion? Okay. All in favor of approving the minutes from May 13, raise your hand or signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Hands are up and Ron's vote is in with an aye and the minutes are approved. So let's go now to project updates and we'll start with Televate. So Dom, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you, Barb, and good morning, everyone. Primarily, Televate has been conserving resources, waiting for legislative action, but we have spent minimal activities trying to prepare for further definition of the LMR VHF, the statewide system concept, and we plan to continue to develop that, be prepared to present more details in the coming weeks. We have also put together some other ideas in terms of the other areas of recommendations to start moving forward when we receive authorization for funding. And we have participated in the initial meeting of the CAD and RMS RFP development, but that has not moved further anymore. I guess waiting for again approval of authority to spend the funding, and then that will become more active. That's where we are.
That's right. Sounds exactly where we are. So any questions for Dom? Okay. legislative updates. So I'll give a summary of where things are, at least according to my research this morning around 8 o'clock. So H935, which includes the authorization for the CAD implementation, the rapid SOS expansion, and that foundational LMR work, was delivered to the governor on June 11. He has 5 days, which I believe is today, to sign it, to veto it, or to allow it to become effective without his signature. At my check this morning, it was not in the list of things that he signed or vetoed yesterday. So I think we're in a little bit of a waiting game still on that. As it came out of the legislature, it did remove the section about the task force, really, I should say, about the Department of Public Safety being able to go back to the legislature down the road with plans to spend the remaining funds that are in that original 11 million appropriation. So after we get done all of the work that's authorized in 935, there was a projection that there would be about $2.5 million left. And as you are all aware, separately in H951, which is the big bill or the appropriations bill for FY27, those $2.5 million-ish, approximately, were earmarked for a specific LMR project in central Vermont. To be clear, Dan and I testified against any pilot projects at this time. And we had multiple one-on-one discussions with various legislative players to emphasize that the task force recommendations stand and they don't include pilot projects at this time, and so on. So we did our best to advocate for the task force recommendations as they went over. But we find ourselves here because yesterday the governor did sign H951. So we're in a situation where we need to wait to see what happens with H935. 951 has passed through or been signed. So it's looking like sort of a situation where we may be needing to make some lemonade here with things that were not exactly as we wished, but they're coming out with clear direction of what the legislature wants the task force to do. So Dan, Paul, and I are going to continue to obviously monitor H935. We're going to work on figuring out ideas for the best path forward, given all of this legislative activity once it churns all the way through. And we'll be able to discuss more likely at our next regular meeting, which will be next week. So that's kind of where we are. Dan or Paul, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I don't have much else to add, Barb.
Okay. Paul, anything?
No, I guess not. I guess I would recommend if we could identify the specific page numbers of H951 so that people don't have to read the entire thing. But I think task force members should read the pertinent sections of that bill to see, what exactly was done with that $2.5 million and what the hoops are that Central Vermont group is going to have to jump through in order to use it. So, I mean, it's interesting reading.
Yeah, go ahead, Ron.
No, go ahead. Well, you can share that because I had a direction going forward that I wanted to share. Let's just finish that discussion first.
I do not have those page numbers right in front of me. So
But
do you, Paul?
I don't have them in front of me, but I can find them and email them out.
Okay, that would be great.
Because the document itself is like 1,000 pages long, right?
Right. Yep. So we'll get those page numbers out to you, Ron, and go ahead with your comment.
Well, I mean, I've read through most of the pertinent parts there, and it seems to me that if we are to try to nudge the train back on the rails, that we need to simply view, I won't mince words, the $2.9 million money grab as something that can be improved upon by simply, I think we essentially need to, though we didn't recommend pilot projects, I think we're stuck with the money being thrown in that direction. And so we need to decide what we think a pilot project needs to look like what the criteria are that we would say this is a good thing to, to demonstrate our recommendations and how they work and how it's going to help the first responders and everything else. And we need to simply use that as remember when they used to take those tests and you'd color in the blanks and then they'd take a little cardboard thing and put it over the little black things. And if they put it upside down, you had a heart attack because there were no black spots showing through. Well, I think we need to take that piece of we need to make that piece of cardboard and we need to superimpose it upon what they're planning on spending the $2.9 million on. And we need to send them back to correct some of their answers if they don't really mesh with what we are recommending for the state as a whole.
I think that's a really good observation, Ron. Jim, it looked like you were about to say something.
Page 340.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. So I've had some initial discussions, Ron, kind of to your point about, or at least I've shared my initial thoughts on how we might evaluate the project that they're going to present. I think it's by early October they need to do that. And that is that we develop some sort of fair and objective evaluation of any presentation that comes our way from any entity at any time, and make our decisions and observations and requests for changes and all of that based on that. So I liked the way you framed it. Anybody else have anything to add on this?
Barb, I have a question on 935, since it hasn't received any action yet. If it doesn't receive any action, you say it does go into effect after a certain time period. What is that time period?
Paul or Dan, does it go into effect on the date written in the legislation, or?
Well, I think the law becomes effective 5 business days after it was sent to the governor. But as far as the actual effective date of what it says, I think that's spelled out in the bill itself. It's either effective July 1 or it's effective on passage, and generally it's July 1.
Generally,
Unless it specifically says effective on passage, then it's usually July 1.
We can
And I don't know
double
when
check that.
I don't know when that 5 business day clock started for arriving on the governor's desk.
The legislative page notes that it was delivered to him on June 11th. I assume that his day 1 becomes June 12th, right?
And they don't count weekends.
They do count Saturdays, I learned, but they don't count Sundays or holidays. So, so we'll double check on the effective date, Dom. But I think it's it would be within the next couple weeks, right?
Okay.
Because even if it's on passage, it's got to do some time frame after.
Well, and even if it's July 1, that's only 2 weeks from now.
That's only 2 weeks away, right?
Right. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Moving on then, if we're ready to public comment, I'll just go around the room. Phil, anything to share today?
No, very interesting. I have not had a chance to read those legislative updates myself, but I appreciate the perspective. I'll go back and take those in. Let you know. I'll send you an email or got an email or something. I have some comments, but none of today. Thank you, though.
Sounds good. Jeff, how about you?
No, I'm good. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep. And Dean.
First, we had a meeting last night on the county, our county fire chiefs, whatever, and we want to express our appreciation for the hard work of the task force and all of you that have spent time in Montpelier. We have been trying to work your way through this whole thing, and I know that myself, I'm glad the legislative session is over because I'm tired of sitting in front of the computer day after day after day, trying to watch where this is going and not finding out anything. But we certainly support the task force and their recommendations and their direction. And so we're going to continue to be there for you and get any information available that you're asking for. So thank you. And Dan, we appreciate all the time that you spend, not only just for the task force, but for the fire service. So thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. I think I covered everybody from the public. So we can move on to new business. Do task force members have any new business for today? All right.
Barb,
And
I would just,
yep, go ahead, Paul.
I don't know,
Yep.
In case anybody doesn't notice it, reading through the legislation, I don't know who besides me sometimes claims the per diem for attending these meetings, but we should point out that they have been, as of the new bill, the new legislation, July 1, they've been reduced from 150 to 50 per meeting, if anybody claims those.
Good to be aware of. Yep.
Gee, Paul, you could have mentioned this before they reduced the price, so we could have taken advantage of that windfall.
Well, today is still under the old rate, so.
Right, right. Yes, I didn't really follow that too closely as to the reasoning for that, but
They had the 150 that they had authorized before was sort of not the norm. I don't know why they put a higher dollar amount on our meetings, but they have now lumped us in with all the other state boards and committee meetings, like the 911 board, I'm sure.
Yep.
Anybody that serves on a state board gets that flat $50 per day.
Well, and not only that, if you take that $100 that they're saving on every one of those people per meeting, it adds up to 2.9 million in no time flat.
We can rely on you for those kinds of observations, Ron. Thank you. Okay. Thanks for bringing that up, Paul. So anything else for new business? All right, then. We'll confirm our next meeting date, which is on the books for next Wednesday, the 24th at 11:15, where I suspect we will have a bit more information firmed up. So if there's nothing else for today, Paul?
Just for future planning, I know you said the next meeting is next week. You had mentioned offline, maybe the need in the future to go to weekly meetings. I don't know. Until we have some work to do, I don't think there's a need for that, but I would just put that on people's radar that if we suddenly find ourselves tasked with things, there was some discussion of meeting weekly instead of every other week.
Yes,
going forward.
absolutely. I kind of see that on the horizon if things go through the way we're hoping they will anyway. So maybe just have that in the back of your mind and we can confirm when we want to start that when we meet next week. But I think there's going to be plenty to do. So
yeah, well, considering the whole CAD RFP thing, since it really has gotten off to a very slow start, in order to make the deadline that is on that, we're going to have to move pretty fast once it finally starts. So
we sure are. Yep, definitely. All right, so we'll finalize that next week, but it might be a good idea to put a little placeholder on your calendars. So, okay, anything else?
I do have a question.
Hey.
So do we have any ability to start requesting immediate information on how those guys plan to spend their $2.9 million, or are they going to give it to us like 2 weeks before they're required to get the money?
I think that there is a deadline for them to present their plan in H951. I don't know if there's, I'm gonna have to read it again. I don't know if there's a mechanism to get information sooner than that.
Well, they
Anybody
also
else
have
recall?
to,
I
they
think they're
have
pretty
to
eager to
agree
share.
to pay 30% of it also.
Right. There's a 30% match.
I think they're pretty
Yes.
eager to share. So I don't think that will be a problem. They've reached out to me saying they want to set up some time, and I said, we have to wait until the governor signs things, but I think once that happens, they're going to be shot out of a cannon.
Okay.
On or before October 2nd.
Right. I'm encouraged though that they've reached out to you, Dan, and we'll hear more from them. I think in a setting like this would be best. So, okay. Anything else? Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a
Make a
motion
motion
to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you, Ron and Jim. Okay. All in favor of adjourning for today, raise your hand or signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Alrighty. Okay. We're adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone, and enjoy your last few days of rest and relaxation before we hopefully get to work seriously on the CAD stuff. So, all right. We'll talk to everyone soon. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, bye.
Thank you.
Take care of yourselves.